This morning, it is my privilege to start off with a series called Make Room. December is here. Anybody having palpitations about that? The fact that December is here. I mean, we were in January, Nana, and now it's like December. Our Christmas trees are up, hopefully. If you haven't, my goodness, what are you doing? I'll come and help you out during the week to set it up. Roxy also offer her services. But December is here, and you can see it when you go to the shops. Help us, Jesus. You can see it when you try to fit in a holiday, and you realize everything is booked because you might have been a little bit too slow. You didn't think that you needed it in October, and now in December you're like, I need a holidays, and everything is booked or very expensive. Anyone out there? It's okay. You can confess. It's okay. This is a safe space. It's fine. It's just us, my lover. You can see it when you try to fit friends in your calendar that is like really busy. And some of us might love the adrenaline of like, oh, it's so busy. There's so much going on. And others, though, we feel like a bit overwhelmed with how busy and crowded everything feels. It's overwhelming to try to breathe and put decorations up and finish work and smile at the same time. It can be very overwhelming. So our attempt with this series, Make Room, is to be so intentional as a church to make room for His presence. We can so easily get so distracted with everything that is going on around that as a church, we want to pause and stop and breathe and make room for what God is wanting to do this December. Not in the new year. Some of you are already putting your goals for 2024. Great job, overachiever. But there's still a work to be done in December this year. And that's what we want to do. So we're going to read from Luke 2. Verse 4 to 8. It's the story of Joseph and Mary going to get registered for the census. And it says, Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth into Judea to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and the lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed wife, who was with child. So it was that while they were there, the day were completed for her to be delivered, and she brought forth her firstborn son. And he wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. Like the story got a bit hectic right there. There was no room for them in the inn. Now, I know that some of us are very easy to just pick on Joseph and be like, dude, you should have organized ahead of time, right? But history tells us that when the journey, it was around 130 kilometers, it wasn't like today, where you get on your car and then off you drive an hour and a half. Depends if you have kids and you have to stop 25,000 times. It might take you a bit longer. But an hour and a half, and then you will be there. Their journey would have been by foot. They would have walked there. Have you tried walking with a pregnant lady? Not a 9-month pregnant lady. Even if you're 4 months pregnant, you still walk funny already. Not funny, but like, you know what I mean. Sorry, ladies. We love you. Especially if you're pregnant in this season. My goodness, we're praying for you because this wave of heat is beautiful. So they walk, and his story suggests that it took them a couple of weeks and months to get where they were. So if you read this story and you thought, who travels with a 9-month pregnant woman? You're being judgy, first of all. And second of all, that wasn't what happened. He left ahead of time, but it took them long to get there. And then while they got there, obviously the baby decided, gotta arrive. Never mind the fact that it was the city where Jesus needed to be born. So no matter how early Joseph had left, that baby was gonna be born in that time. So for you to have a little bit more of compassion. History also tells us that at that time it was custom for families to welcome them. So that's probably why Joseph didn't do any reservation, because he was relying on family to welcome them into their house. That's how it's supposed to be. The family had a guest room on top where visitors will come and stay over. And guess what? Families say no. And then the last suggestion is that because they didn't have money, obviously the inn people didn't make space for them. If there was cash king, they would have made a plan. But there was no plan made. right? So that's the background that we actually find ourselves as we read this. But the sentence, there was no room for them. Before we actually see this on a historic background, let's bring it back to our time right now. How easy it is for us in our house not to find room. Especially when Christmas decorations come out. When the school from the kids decide to send you all the work that they have done on the year. When your matric kids are done with the studying and they start throwing their books because it's over. And then all of a sudden things start to pile up. Maybe not in your house, but in our house, clutter takes space so quickly. It's a weekly thing that we try to do to clear our counters. In our house, we like our counters to be clear. No decoration, no, especially my husband. No little plant, everything must be clear. And as you just leave 1 week, if the kid goes sick, there's the medicine box. If we fix something, then there's a tool. If we purchase something, there's the pay slip is like, it's there. And then if you have kids, the toys that they play with for the last 3 days also accumulate there. This is like a corner centerpiece where everything gets put on. And before you realize, you start cleaning around it. That's happened to anyone, right? It almost becomes like part of the decor. Instead of getting rid, you're like, I'm just going to clean around, and then the counter is clean, right? It becomes part of the decor. We become used to that clutter so quickly. And that's in 1 week. Never mind when your kids start growing up and you have clothes that's too small for them, but you're too sentimental to let it go. None of us here. The clothes from like 5 summers ago that you're still promising that in January you're going to start a diet and you're going to fit on it on the following year, yet you haven't. They pass on things, the toys that the kids don't play with anymore, but just in case we need it later, we're just going to keep it. And then it seems like making room, it doesn't just happen. Making room is not just something that accidentally happens. You experience it today. You are trying to arrive. You're trying to come to the chair that you come every Sunday, yet someone else from the first service decided they're sitting there too, because it's their chair on the first service. And you're like, make room, buddy. Right? Make room doesn't just happen. Anyone has a garage in their house? Do you know that the garage has been created for a purpose? Which is what? Storage. Right? You know how many houses I visit, and I won't say names out loud. We don't have a garage, so I can pick on that. How many houses I visit where the garage is full of stuff and the car is parked outside? If I was the car, I would be like, hey, excuse me. One purpose. The garage has one purpose. Yet here am I, sitting outside. How rude. Right? Making room doesn't just happen. Clutter in your house doesn't just move out of the way so that your car can be parked in, isn't it? Or maybe you have a guest room or an office room, yet you haven't had a guest for like the last year because your guest room has become the storage room because you can just push everything in, close the door, no one sees it. Right? That doesn't happen in this church. Or maybe those things that you don't know. The last time that we declutter, I find probably like 6 different boxes that my husband does not want to get rid of. And I'm like, yeah, warranty, that's the excuse, right? And I'm like, if he breaks, I can bet you at least $50 that he ain't gonna go and exchange that. Yet here's the box and the next box. We made a Christmas tree with the boxes because they actually just kind of line up beautifully. You can come see later. But making room doesn't just happen. And this December, we want to be intentional that if it's a work to be done in our lives, shouldn't we make room for God so that he can actually just walk over all our boxes? Imagine Jesus trying to get there and he's like, yo, this is going to be a challenge. Do you want him to just walk into your house and start kicking boxes or moving things out of place? And you're like, Jesus, no, not that one, not that one. I really like that one. The warranty, Jesus, you know that. So our challenge this December is, how do we make room? How do we make room? If we understand that our work needs to be done and that God is the one that wants to do that work in our lives, how do we make room? I'm so glad you asked. Number 1, And I do want to say thank you to Pastor John for preaching my preach during the ministry time. So I'm just going to repeat pretty much what he's saying. Number one, we let go of all things. All things. We let go of all things, whether it's in the natural or in the spiritual. Some of us are holding on to stuff. Stuff that can clutter our minds, our hearts, and it leaves very little room for God actually to work. Now, I want to empathize with you and say that I am an emotional hoarder, and I love keeping stuff that brings some kind of memory, even if it's I used to be until like even the wrapping paper or something. If you give me a gift that is wrapped with wrapping paper, I don't break the wrapping paper. That's rude. I just open it nicely, fold it, and put it in a box there for the next 20 years. So I know what it feels like to have emotional attachment to stuff. You know, when you remember things because of that thing that you are holding on. Whether it is jewelry, clothes. You know, some clothes remind you that one day you used to be that skinny. And it's a nice feeling to feel like maybe one day I can be that again. I don't know if it's false hope or wishful thinking, but it is nice to keep that one pair of pants for that special occasion. Also, as a proof to your kids that you were not always that, and at some point you fed on something. It's emotional attachment. It's the fear. You know how many people, when I get rid of stuff, because we were blessed enough, it's a blessing now, not when we got married, but we were blessed enough not to have a lot of packing space, so we could never keep stuff for the later. We keep what we're using now, the plates that we're using now. If we have extra plates, they can't stay in my house because I don't have space to keep them. So it taught us very quick how to get rid of stuff in a good way. We can't keep 2 toasters. Firstly, because you only use one. Second, because I can't keep it. I don't have space to keep it. It's either the toaster or the husband. You know what I'm saying? And obviously I chose the husband. That was the better option, right? Right. So we got rid of stuff, but there's so many people that what if I get rid of a second toaster? What if I get rid of this couch, then no one really sits on it, but it looks so nice when it accumulates stuff over it? What if I need the 3rd bed? What if I need 10 blankets? What if that one day come? And we have this fear of letting go of the stuff in case that we need it. Have you used it on the last year? Some of us are holding to stuff for the last 10 years that we haven't used. Living on the what if. It is so overwhelming. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 6 says, there is a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away. And once again, some of us get so sidetracked in the keeping. You know, we blame the kids when they become like very self-absorbed and they're like, mine. Have you been with adults trying to declutter the Tupperware cover that they have? Mine. The towels cover or the bedding cover. Mine. Just like your kids. You have 25 cars. Mine. All of them mine. There's a time to keep and a time to throw away. Maybe our homework today is to go home and make room and get rid of the old things. Maybe it's time not just to keep, but today it's time to throw away. There's a research that was done on storing up stuff and all that kind of stuff that says, while some chalk up as laziness, some people call it laziness, it is not. There's actually an underlying psychology of clutter and disorganizing that keeps people from tidying up. Potential reasons that people hold on to clutter include that they feel overwhelmed, that it's often a huge job to get rid of things, and that it can be physically and mentally exhausting. So if you're in that place, you just found your crutch, like, yeah, that's me. It's a psychology thing that I'm struggling with. Then guess what? You can get help. If it's something that is attached to a mental trauma, like it happens to most hoarders, something happened in their life and it's almost like a pause. And either they want to recreate life as it is, so nothing can be touched, nothing can be given. It took me probably like 5 years to get rid of my jersey. That was my matric jersey. And I only did it because I was coming to South Africa and I couldn't bring that. It was going to make no sense to anyone. all the Spanish thing. But it was hard because he reminded me that I did that, and very well. Some of us are struggling with that mentally, then you can get help. You can tell your family, listen, this is just beyond not me trying to get rid of things. This is me really struggling. This is me asking for help. Now, if you're on the other side of the coin, no, it's not helpful to go and throw everything for them. That's not how it works. You're going to give them anxiety, panic attack, and they're going to hate you. You come around them and you make them in their terms of what they need to get rid of. Hebrews 12 verse 1 says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witness, let us throw everything. Does your version of the Bible say that? Let us throw everything that hinders us and the sin that so easily entangle us. Imagine this picture of you trying to run this race, which we call Christianity, which we call life, and just having everything that you are holding on to. How are you going to run? Some of us can't even run without carrying anything, not even the water. We die on the attempt. Never mind carrying things or people. Like, you cannot run that race efficiently. So the Bible is telling you, throw everything that hinders you. Not some of the stuff. Throw everything that hinders you. Because at some point, it says there, you will trip over it. It will entangle you. Have you tried to walk into a house when you are carrying stuff and the stuff on the floor that your kids beautifully lay just on top, like as you're going to walk into the passage, into the door? That's the best place to play, apparently. So all the toys are there and you're just not looking and then off you go. Let us get rid of everything that can entangle us. So that's number one, we get rid of the old. Number two, we prepare for the new. When a baby comes, they come with this beautiful thing called due date, which in general it gives us an indication of when the baby is thinking to arrive. Sometimes they come early, sometimes they come late because they like making an entrance. But bottom line is we have a rough idea of when they're coming. And most parents, especially new parents, are ready in advance, like really in advance. I have never seen a baby arrive and be like, oh, wow. This baby decided to really pitch. I guess we should do something about it. What do you think? Yeah, okay, well, let's go shopping. Doesn't happen like that. Even now, we have baby showers preparing to prepare for the baby, right? Shouldn't be the same in our lives when we want to prepare to welcome the new? Did we actually make arrangements? Did we get rid of the things? Did we make a space for the new things that are coming? Isaiah 43 verse 18 to 19 says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. That is very difficult for some of us. Do not dwell on the past. But the past was so good. The past was so nice. I was skinny in the past. I was popular in the past. I was clever in the past. I was married in the past. I had kids that needed me in the past. The past is nice. I had a job in the past. My boss liked me in the past. I like my boss in the past. See, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. What a sad thing would it be for us that God is busy trying to bring us to something new and we miss it because we're so focused looking at the past. Have you tried to drive forward looking backwards? You're going to crash. It's not a good attitude. Have you tried walking forward towards something looking back? You're going to fall over something, hit something, especially if it is a table, it's going to catch your knee, it's guaranteed. Can I encourage you this morning to prepare for the new? To not dwell on the past, but actually open your eyes to see that God is doing something new. And you get the invitation to be part of that. But in order for you to be part of that, you need to pitch to the invitation. Imagine if we prepare for a baby and then when the baby comes, we miss it all together. That would be a sad story to say. And number three, We let go of the old, we prepare for the new, and we redeem time. Now, I want to extend an invitation for you to confess this moment. If you have said or believed that you don't have enough time, please put your hand up. And to all the rest people that are lying, Jesus loves you. Because our main excuse is we don't have time. We really don't. Things are just moving and going. It's just not enough time in one day. We can't make time, but we can waste it. No matter how hard you pray or how good of a person you think you are not getting extra time in a day. Some of us work hard enough because we think if I just work an extra, I'm going to make... No. You were given 24 hours a day, just like the person next to you. Doesn't matter if that person is clever than you or dumber than you, prettier or skinnier. It doesn't matter. It's an equalizer. We have all given 24 hours in one day. We can't make time. Oh, let's make time in a calendar. No, you can't. You're not God. You're not Jesus. You cannot make time, but you can waste it. And in case that you think that you are not one of those, a recent study has found, and I'm going to pick on a brand here, that the average iPhone user, Jesus is speaking, uses his or his phone 2,617 times a day. Each user is on his or her phone at least 2 hours and a half over 67 sessions. You just went to touch your phone now, didn't you? You haven't let go of it. Okay, well, Jesus is speaking. Most people have no clue of how time they spend on their phone. And millennials have been put at twice of that time. So if you were born, it is believed the millennials are the people born between, it's debatable, every study is different, but between 1985, 1990, you were born onwards, you're a millennial. Double of that, 2,617 times a day. And some of you are like, oh no, that's not me. Okay. Netflix subscribers spend an average of 3.2 hours per day watching content on the platform. 3 hours a day. Netflix mobile app was downloaded for iOS and Android, we're not just speaking on one, 16.4 million times just in June 2021. We don't have time, remember? And how many can say, yeah, I'm addicted to my phone? That's me. All 2 of you, great, Jesus loves your honesty, thank you. The rest of you, I'm not gonna say liars are going to hell, because this is a bit strong. But I don't think that Jesus likes liars. I will say that much. Okay, you're not obsessed with your phone, you're not addicted to your phone. Great, this message is not for you. For the normal people like us, that you just start by picking up the phone because you were about to do something. And then 10 minutes later, you're like, why am I watching this reel? How did the connection happen? For the ones that are normal, when was the last time that you switched your phone off for a whole week? A whole week. Do you know that the world will stand if you switch your phone off for a week? I know some of us don't think much of ourselves, but we really believe that if I switch my phone, all hell is going to break loose. I mean, Jesus is going to try to reach me, and then my phone's going to be off, and then he doesn't know where I live. And I am like that. Okay, maybe a week is extreme. When was the last time that you switched your phone off for a whole day? 24 hours. Why are you going white? Some of you are like literally going pale. Like that is a possibility. There is a switch off button on your phone. Did you know that? You probably don't even know how to switch your phone off. When was the last time you switched your phone off for an hour? How does it feel to switch it off for an hour? Do you know that social media has been created to become addictive? It's like a drug. That's why you have to go back to it. You have to go back to it. You quickly have to post it and quickly like this. And quickly wake up and scroll and see what the world is doing. Exactly what it was doing yesterday. And you have to just go and check. And check. And check. And check. And then you put it down and then you go again and you check. You check. Because you need that high. What you feel when you pick up your phone, it's a high. Yet we don't have time. The definition of redeeming time, because we're going to redeem time, not make time, is to gain or regain possession of something. Can I just suggest that maybe some of us need to gain or regain possession of our own time? Maybe some of us need to be self-aware, mature, honest enough to be like, yeah, maybe my phone has taken a bit much priority. Maybe life will be okay if I leave my phone at home when I go out. But what if there's going to be another person, if something happens to you, right next to you with a phone? And then when you come back home, the phone will be exactly where you left it. Not crying, not broken, just there where you left it. Facebook will survive if you don't share a story. I promise you. Jesus' birth, Christmas, is a big deal. And our King chose to humble himself to come to earth so that you and I can get to know his love for you and for me. And it will be so sad that we could put Christmas tree and decorations and take holidays, yet forget to make room for him. It will be so sad. We don't want that. So let's set it right from the first service of December. I'm just going to ask Judel to come up and give me some inspiration as I speak. The invitation for all of us today is to make room. Make room for him. Make room for his presence. Make room for what he wants to do. Make room. And I know it seems crazy and sometimes it seems unthinkable that we could actually get to that point where we switch our phones off, where we leave our phones at home. Maybe start by a 5-minute break. Just take 5 minutes from social media, from your phone, from TV, from series, from talking to someone. Make room, 5 minutes. And then the next week you can try 10 minutes. Make room. Whatever that might look like. I'm not asking you to go to the top of a mountain and not talk to anyone. Maybe it looks like going for a walk around the block, talking to Jesus. Maybe it looks like waking up before anyone else wakes up at home and having a cup of coffee with Jesus. Maybe it looks like when everybody goes to sleep, if you're a night owl, you just say, hey, Jesus, let's catch up on our day today. Let's make room. Let's get rid of the old. I know some old things feel good. I do know that the older my kids grow and the less they need me, the scarier it is for me. But we want to make room for the new things that God is doing, for what he wants to do this December, the work that he wants to do in our hearts. We want to make room and we want to redeem time. The time that the enemy is so cleverly stealing from us. Yes, he's clever, sneaky, and it just feels good. But what about cutting 5 minutes or whatever is distracting you and just putting it towards making room for him? Removing all the things, removing all the boxes, and sitting face to face with Jesus, saying, I'm here. Tell me what you want to do. I'm ready. Let's do this together.